Yo, 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 what's that word? 32 Inning Podcast, episode 41. I still got something coming up for y'all to introduce these fellas. It's not just guests no more, but the co-host of 32 Inning Podcast going forward. But this is going to be a good podcast tonight, heavily research-based and a lot of stuff that's happening in college football in the NBA 65 game rule. The first thing uh, that we can talk about is what's y'all take on like the current state of NIL and college athletics?
You want to go first, Byron?
You can go ahead.
Um, so I feel like, as most things with sports, you take the good with the bad. Few things, or one of the main concerns that I have with the NIL deals and everything going on is, um, just the student athletes already having to juggle playing sports and classwork. Now you're adding them having to try to get their brand out and everything, stuff like that. So I feel like it just adds to their stress level. And if stuff doesn't start going their way, that can affect like their mental health. But at the same time, it allows the players, to make money and be able to provide for their families before they even make it to the pros. And also I feel like it makes some players second guess leaving college, just because they can get paid a good amount and take care of their families, which would ultimately lead to more players staying, and ultimately getting their actual degrees in college and stuff like that. And so I feel like it's just a good and bad thing, and I can add off of that once you guys go.
Nah, yeah, most definitely. Like you said, see, it's definitely goods and bads that come with something new. Especially after years and years of them just the NCAA just holding all the money to themselves, and in turn messing up a lot of people's college careers due to that rule being a thing, like not being able to make money off your name, image, and likeness. A lot of schools have been sanctioned. A lot of schools have been just taken apart from that. So this is a good thing for sure, for sure. With a lot of the, like you said, people being able to financially take care of their families, make sure everybody's good. One less thing they have to stress about already being, a lot of the times, I'll say about 7 to 8 times out of 10, being far away from your family, and not knowing how you're going to do that. And that kind of helps them out. And you see a lot of these young guys with making, I'm talking crazy money, um 7.5 million. It's wild. But for sure, it's more like a play. He said a lot of guys are going to be staying in college because, I mean, a lot of your rookie deal signings are less than what these kids are making nowadays. So why would you even want to go and make less money when you can stay in college, in a place that's basically yours if you're a star player, making that kind of money already, and just continue to build your NIL deals? Because I think after a certain time after your deal, you get to revamp it. And in a certain case like Shador, if he were to go to the league next year, um, he'd make less money. I think he'd make like eight something million, 8.5 million or something like that if he were to stay in college and play one more college year compared to going to make a salary base of about a couple 100,000. But yeah, like I said, definitely some good and bad things about it.
For sure.
Um, it I think it depends on perspective when you talk about NIL from the coach's perspective. I can see why coaches are, especially with Jeff Haley, the DC from BC, Boston College, just getting hired as the Packers defensive coordinator, because he mentioned, it's hard to maintain a roster when you have someone we're going to talk about later, the transfer portal, NIL, and constantly recruiting your own roster. So I can see I could be terrible on the coaches, but from the players' perspective, I agree with y'all when it comes from a good and bad place. NIL. I didn't define it at the beginning, which I should have. Naming, image, likeness. Athletes get incentivized from collectives to appear in marketing campaigns from companies and things of that nature. Started back in I think the mid 2000s. I can't remember his name, but his last name was O'Malley. UCLA basketball player was playing a game one day, and saw somebody that looked exactly like him for UCLA, and decided, bro, I should probably be getting paid for this. So from that standpoint, I 100% agree, especially as an avid former player and future player of NCAA football game. Y'all can get at me, gamer tags in the comments when that game
Most
dropped, by
definitely.
the way. But to the topic at hand, the good and bad when it comes to athletes for me is, of course, you get to take care of yourself, take care of your family. There's a lot of false numbers out there as far as the amount that these kids are getting paid. Um, it's actually a lot less than what people think it is. And the negative side of that also would be the handlers that are getting involved. A lot of these kids are making good financial decisions as far as who they're putting in charge of getting them the deals. A prime example would be Rodney Hood, former Florida State running back. Wanted, it's reported, I know it's 24/7, over 100,000 more than the starting running back this year. As a backup, this year he wanted 100,000 more coming up for this coming year. Ended up transferring, testing his luck. Didn't think he handled it well. Ended up originally going to FA, what was it, FAMU, and then their coach left to be the running back coach at Duke. So then he went to Miami as a walk-on, lost the scholarship and the NIL deal. And now that FAMU has got a new coach in, now he's back at FAMU, committed to them again. And there's countless cases like that of, players entering a portal thinking, the grass is going to be greener on the other side. And it's often not like that. So there's positives and there's negatives to it. But at the same time, with anything, it's weird how the NCAA is policing this too, because they'll admit that it's a gray area involved in this. At first, it was the Wild Wild West. And it kind of still is the Wild Wild West. But then now they're trying to put these sanctions on schools like Florida State, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Arizona State. A couple schools have been sanctioned in the past 2 weeks based upon what? If there's no primary legislation for how to go about this, and you're trying to retroactively punish these schools for rules that don't exist. So there's a lot of crazy stuff surrounding it. But yeah, it's just a lot that's going on with it. So with that, you guys got any follow-ups to that or anything we talked about so far?
NCAA, baby. I'm waiting for you. Waiting for you to drop.
Facts.
I'm gonna be giving Byron that work.
Oh, nah.
I ain't gonna lie.
USC all day, man.
Any game, look, I ain't saying I'm a sorry game, and let me not put out that there. I'm a good gamer, but NC, I don't like it. Y'all might got it in 2K, made me even mad. But NC, I don't like it.
I got it in Madden for life.
This ain't just people. This ain't just us here. This ain't just 32 Minute Podcast too. If anybody watching this, drop your gamer tag. All the
facts.
smoke is accepted.
Hey, nah, game attack right now. Undeniable J. Undeniable hashtag _ J. At me.
Quick thing about the NCAA game. We'll probably make a video about this in the future. Well, yeah, we'll do that in the future. How y'all feel about the transfer portal?
You go
man.
first, Byron. Yeah, go ahead.
Nah, that transfer portal it's a good thing for players like that are not that really need it and that are trying to find opportunities that once again, like I said, ties into wanting to try to go feed your family. Like obviously, even if you don't have an NIL deal, just to play, to get your name out there, to try to make the league regardless. Because I mean, I think that would be the goal. But just that transfer portal is killing just programs in general. Like a lot of the good players, like you said, they get their money and then they can transfer right after that. A lot of schools are losing a lot of their high top talent which is making a lot of programs like get devalued, especially in losing a lot of their games. A lot of teams are transferring. A lot of players transfer to some schools based on the roster itself and how it's already constructed. And if a certain one of those players that they came there for is transfers, that makes a lot of the, like, say for example your quarterback, a starting quarterback gets transferred, like that happened at Florida State. They lose their starting quarterback, and then now probably a lot of their offensive line is going to leave. Maybe I think can't coaches be in the transfer portal as well, correct?
Yeah, but I think Florida State got a DJ, didn't they?
Did they got a new quarterback now?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right, Brodrick?
Yeah, Florida State. We transfer portal you. We picked
Nah,
up
they got a good quarterback.
quarterback. We
Yeah,
picked up a lot of
see how quick it happens.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just crazy. But no, like I said, it's a good and bad thing. But I definitely can see that they're going to be trying to make some more rules and sanctions for that to try to not let it be so unlimited.
Yeah. But no, just go off what Byron saying. I feel like the first couple years with the NIL and with the NIL and transfer portal both being going on, it's kind of like a learning curve for the NCAA. Kind of see what they need to do in terms of steps to kind of keep things how they were before, while still letting players and everything go ahead and get their NIL. I do feel like NIL and the transfer portal kind of piggybacking off of each other. Just to clarify, I feel like some people are transferring from schools based on the type of money that they think they can get going elsewhere, which, like Byron said, can ultimately lead to the downfall of some of these major college football teams, just because, young kids, money hungry. I mean, we've all been that age before, so.
Shoot, I wish we were getting deals.
What I'm about to say,
Boy, that check would have been fat.
The thing about it is, for me, the transfer portal, I can see the good parts of it, especially if you're not playing and you want an opportunity to play, even if you don't have designs to make it into the league. Like,
Yeah.
I could see how those lower level players, like say you're playing at a Harvard and then you transfer to, Alabama or Georgia, something like that, for the chance to win the national championship, Florida State, or USC or whoever. You might want to play for Coach Prime or something like that. I can see the benefits in that. But on the flip side, who I really feel bad for is the high school athletes, because there's losing opportunities at scholarships due to the transfer portal. Like, for example, I just brought up Coach Prime. I think Colorado only signed like 6 high school players this year. And the rest, they got all from the portal. That's,
wow.
A traditional class, let's say like 3 or 4 years ago, just those high school athletes, that's at least 22 of them not getting a chance to play at the college level, at least at the level starting off at a Colorado. Which, again, every player isn't going to go to the NFL. Most players, 99%, are going to go pro in something else in life. So just to be able to get that scholarship from an institution like Colorado and other schools, it's changed a lot due to the transfer portal, because they're just not getting those chances. They're having to start off at lower level programs, which, again, that could be a benefit to the lower level programs in the sense of the talent of their football team. But as far as the education, which again is college, is what's most important, because again, 99% of these kids are going to go pro in something else. They're going to be in the workforce. So it really hurts the high school kids. And not only the opportunity wise, but also you're starting to see at the high school level, more kids transfer high schools. So it's ruining what's a major part about, in my opinion, being a part of a team sport, which is loyalty, the camaraderie, training together. If anybody watching this hasn't ever played sports, in my opinion, the most important part is when you're going through the summer and winter conditioning and those practices, really building up, okay, what are his tendencies? What are her tendencies? Like, what are we going to do to make this thing as successful as possible? Even if you don't end up having this great season, what keeps athlete bonded and what makes teams very close are those things that most people don't see in the background, all this work we put in. And if we're just constantly transferring or trading teams and doing all this type of stuff, that ruins it. And I think it turns it into a mercenary field game. And that's what you're seeing now a lot in college football. Whoever is offering the highest bag, that's where they're going. And it's unfortunate a lot of times, especially for these coaches, your biggest recruit that you landed ever could be gone in 2 years, either, especially in the quarterback market, if he's not playing or if he's just offered more money. Like you could develop your whole system around this player, and then another team could come out of nowhere, Ole Miss or something like that, and offer more money, and they're gone. So I can see how that's infuriating for a coaching staff. And I think it's hurting coaching careers as far as their recruiting outcomes, and it's hurting high school players. And ultimately, I do think they have to get some regulations on it because what it is right now is completely out of control. Like I get what people push back on to when they be like, man, coaches can do what they want to, they up and go wherever they want to. But the thing is, there's consequences behind it. Like I don't know if people know, but schools have to pay buyouts for these coaches, and that can be on the books for years on end. Like, for example, and I'll make this quick, Willie Taggart, he just came off of Florida State's book literally last month, and he hasn't been the coach for about 4 years now. And we're paying him, Florida State was paying him around $4 million per month at that time. So that money could have went to coaches' salaries, NIL, infrastructure, a lot of different things. So there are consequences to it. But yeah, transfer portal is just crazy.
Yeah, most definitely.
We could switch it up real quick and probably end on the college football discussion. Now we'll stay there real quick. How y'all feel about that SEC Big Ten alliance that was just announced recently?
Oh man, just doing a lot of research on that today. Just in my own words, I would just say it's like a big fu to the NCAA. like they're with the NIL deals going on, with the transfer portal going on. The big schools are like, nah, hold on. We're gonna stay together. We're gonna get our own. We're gonna get our own guys in there. We're gonna pull our big heads together, build our big wigs together, and come up with our own plans amongst all y'all other smaller schools. You know, ACC, PAC, and all those guys. Man, they're trying to get more of a alliance going on, kind of. And the what is it, like the big blue schools that you can kind of say, like Alabama, Michigan, and all those guys, Ohio State. They're like, we're not going to be trying to do all. They're trying to be maybe kind of like the NFL, where they make that organization like, hey man, we're not going to make certain players trying to get your players over here. We're going to try to let you keep those certain coaches, things like that, and try to like, go underneath the transfer portal and NIL deals to try to keep their groups and their programs together.
Yeah, no. Like I said, Byron probably pretty much hit it on the head. I feel like this alliance came about to make sure that they do what they need to do to make sure that they are on top. They're always going to be on top. Yep. Just because, like you said, with the transfer portal, things have been getting crazy. Like I said, most big name schools are the ones benefiting from the transfer portals as well. You have to think of it. That's probably why they're so much for the transfer portal and NIL deals. Just because who wouldn't want to go to Alabama and get $7 million NIL deal? Like I said, it's pretty much them just trying to make sure that the same set of schools stay on top of the NCAA football.
Shoot, I go to Alabama for $100K.
Man, I think again, y'all, both of y'all spoke on that exactly for what it is. It's the big schools trying to really keep the money in house, try to get more of the big wigs, the talking heads in the same arena so they can even out things. It's a clear sign of lack of trust in the NCAA to get anything correctly,
Yes,
which is,
yes,
I mean, sad at this point. And I kind of knew he was going to go this route. For me, like, because we're talking about NIL and the transfer portal, to me, arguing what's been more wild is conference realignment.
yeah,
Um, I knew once Texas and Oklahoma went to the SEC that it was pretty much over with. Like if you wasn't in either the Big Ten or the SEC, you were going to be regulated to that JV league. We just saw what happened with Florida State, undefeated Power Five conference champion, just got bucked out the way for one loss Texas and one loss Alabama. So they're letting you know right there.
dirty.
If you're not in one of those two leagues, the Power Two, then it's pretty much over with for you. Even if you are 100% perfect, you win every game in a conference championship, we don't care. It's ultimately not about your record. It's about the TV revenue that's going in. These are our big TV products. These billion-dollar deals that we paying for. We have to
Yep.
put this product on TV. And that's why, again, I'm a Florida State fan, so that's why I know so much about Florida State. That's why Florida State is battling so hard to get out of the Atlantic Coast Conference and into preferably the Big Ten or the SEC in order to stay competitive from a national championship perspective in all the collegiate sports, but also not falling behind in the revenue gap. Because I'm not sure if people understand how big that gap is. Over the next coming years, Florida State schools as big as a Florida State will be receiving on average per year at a certain point 40 million less annually than Vanderbilt, Rutgers,
Sheesh.
Northwestern. I can go on
Dang.
Purdue, so Michigan
Dang.
State, with all due respect. But in like these types of schools, so I can understand why they're pushing so hard to rectify that situation and remain competitive. What was I gonna say? But also the name of the game of this again is conference realignment. I don't know if y'all had the chance to look at the schedules like going forward for these schools, but some of the schedules to me, I just saw them and I was like, yeah, this got to be based off TV money. Like a school like Florida next year, schedule completely ridiculous. Like I don't even know. It's gonna sound crazy for me to say because I love football, but to see if you look at some of these schedules, teams playing in the same season, Texas, Oklahoma, Bama, Georgia, Tennessee, like Florida next year playing Miami, Auburn, like they playing these schools every year. It makes me wonder, is this even healthy for the athletes for real, for real? Because like, sometimes you gotta have those cupcakes in between to, let the team heal up a little bit, let the young guys play. When you're
Mm-mm.
playing people that are
Gauntlet.
competing for the playoffs every single week and they going their hardest trying not to lose a game. Like, of
Yeah.
course, it's good from a fan perspective. Like, I'm never going to be bored. Like, oh, it's week 3, boy. I'm really just going to have to embrace my love of the game to watch some of these teams play each other. I get how that's going. And from a fan perspective, that's awesome. But from a player safety perspective, I wonder about that sometimes.
No, they're definitely, man. Just to piggyback on what you were saying, they're definitely changing the student athlete into an employee. Like you're no longer, now that this money is being thrown to all these players, you're not a student at my school anymore. You are an employee. I pay you. You getting paid. Like they don't necessarily pay them, the school itself. I mean, I think some of the schools do, but you're not longer for the cupcake walk. That's why they're changing a lot of these schedules, man. We're becoming the NFL now. And just to sprinkle a little bit on that, I kind of blame the NBA because this is where it kind of started.
Anything you want to add on that, Khalil?
No, you guys pretty much covered it.
For sure. I do want to see how it works out because it's kind of funny because last year the ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 came up with like this, this alliance as well, and then literally like 2 months later, the Big Ten bucked Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC from the Pac-12 and essentially killed the entire conference with a bunch of the other schools going to the Big 12. So
Pac-2.
it's really every man for themselves. It's really about individual schools at this point, but also those big schools, they're trying to, make sure that their conference is making the most money, their schools are making the most money, but even besides on the football field and other sports in general, like you can see schools upgrading their research facilities in order for them to reach certain statuses like AAU status and things of that nature to be able order to get into these big conferences. So it's showing that you're going to have to put your money up to compete. You're going to have the resources. And to add on a little bit about what you said about like how the NIL, I just want to clarify that, we know that NIL is separate from the universities supposed to be, but it's separate from the university in general. And that's how that plays out. But we know how that goes oftentimes, you be in the car with the coach. And
before the dawn of
got
time.
$50, $50K for you, boy. You come to the school, but I want to sit in on and I've been a part of like some recruiting visits and trips and stuff like that, but I really want to see like those high 5-star recruits, how like just being in the car with them when they're talking to the coaches and everything they say, like, because I know it's just wild stuff. I saw this coach, Jason Brown. I saw a little reel of him. He was like, how when he hired coaches is based off on is you getting any.
I seen that one the other day.
Yeah, is
I
you
seen it
getting
the
any
other
butt?
day.
So it's like if you ain't got no butt in a long time, then you can't recruit. So you fired.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn,
Can't
that's
be a
kind
legal
of true.
man.
That's kind of true. Like if you ain't getting no cheeks from the woman, if you can't recruit a woman essentially, how are you gonna recruit the top of the line players? And I was like, damn, that makes a lot of sense. I hope he was trolling though. That's crazy. Yeah,
By the
the
look at
final
his face, it didn't look like it.
final thing I wanted to touch on, we wanted to touch on tonight was the 65-game rule in the NBA in order to qualify for major awards. I'll let y'all lead that off.
That rule's just stupid. Couple things. I don't like it just for the fact of one of the league's best players, if not the best player, is hurt for a good amount of time. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. And Joel Embiid. I feel like when that rule is kind of pushing the players to kind of want to push through injuries to try to get those awards. I know some players are saying the awards don't matter, but if we're being honest, I'm pretty sure everybody in the NBA wants to be MVP. But yeah, just a little bit of what I'm saying. I'll let you guys go.
Good and bad thing. It's a dumb rule in the fact that you can definitely lose out on accolades, money, due to contracts, things like that. But I kind of see it as a good thing for Timmy and his mom who spent a year worth saving up to try to come to this game, and now I can't see LeBron or Embiid or Jokic play when they might not be all the way hurt. And now I don't waste my money to come see them, and they're not here. So it's a good and bad thing. But definitely shouldn't be messing with people's money due to actual injuries, or people's accolades just because of their injuries. I think they should definitely, like you said, it's the first year doing it. It's something they got to use to see as a basis, but it should definitely be something that needs to be tweaked.
Yeah, I don't even know if we have enough time to really express like how I really feel about this because to me, it's a microcosm of like society a little bit, in a sense of I think the rule is great. I do think these players should be playing as much as possible. Like the sitting out had gotten really out of control and out of hand. A lot to do with Byron said, people saving up like really literally everything in some instances to see these players play and then just find out, oh, they're gonna be out tonight for rest or something like that. It's crazy. But at the same time, and it's also 65 games. Like there's 82 games plus the playoffs. Like so, they're still allowing you to miss 17 games for everything that you're trying to do. And honestly, in my personal opinion, your best ability is your availability. Like you have to be able to stay on the court. Like it's not just if you're chronically injured. I get that if you're just chronically injured, and some guys are who are some of the most talented players in the league. But at the same time, if you're not available, some of these guys who are available and they are having great seasons, they should have chances to win those awards as well. And the reason why I said microcosm of society, I just think the NBA players are like is super like baby, like out of all athletes like in the world. Like these dudes, it got to the point where they're getting paid exuberant amounts of money. Jaylen Brown, 5 years, $301 million, exuberant amounts of money to play basketball, but they're choosing to sit out games, to jump from team to team, to in some cases get suspended for trying to be gangster. Like it just got out of hand. I don't know if people are watching the Charlotte Hornets, but like, just to be iced out and just to, they're just, to me, they're just, a lot of them just act like big toddlers. Like they don't have to worry about much in life. And I'm not hating them at all. Much respect. They made it there and you get paid what you get paid to do. So much respect for them to be able to have the talent and make it there. But I think it was just getting out of hand with the amount of power that the players wield. It needs to be reeled in some, and there needs to be regulation. I think that this rule was a great first step to doing that. And again, the players are hurt, sit out. Don't try to force yourself to play through an injury. That's dumb. I hope Joel Embiid and Julius Randle and a couple other players heal well and we get to see them this season, or they have great rehabs and we get to see them at the beginning of the next season. But at the same time, for the players who are just sitting out to sit out, it was getting way too ridiculous and out of hand. Like way too ridiculous.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's like some of those like things in there, like about the certain age limit of not playing back to back, stuff like that. I kind of get a little bit of that when you're a certain age, like LeBron. Like LeBron is 75, playing in the NBA and playing better than some of the guys that are 21 years old. Like, and some of those guys, like some of the younger guys, are missing a way more time, and it's just like, come on, man, you gotta play, bro. You're getting paid millions and millions of dollars to do your job. If you're
I
not
can
hurt for
imagine
real,
being a Raptors
play.
fan a couple years ago. Like when Kawhi was there, I couldn't
Oh
imagine
man,
that because like, not a home fan because obviously you got a better chance of seeing them. But if you wanted to see Kawhi on the Raptors a couple years ago, it was pretty much up in the air, like what was going to happen there. Even though it's been reported that bro had like a degenerative knee issue or whatever. And again, that's another person that's chronically injured. I'm not necessarily speaking on Kawhi. It's just like, like when the Spurs, when they had their dynasty, when Tim Duncan and them was there, it's like a lot of times, yeah, you might as well chalk it up. You're not going to see them boys ever really. So, I don't know.
I said once they got around about 42 wins, 43 wins,
Yeah.
it was a wrap. It was a wrap.
And
they stayed past 50
to the end of the year games as well, because now you got a better chance of seeing the star player play instead of them sitting out for the playoffs. Along with the play-in tournament too, that was a big thing too. I really rock with the play-in. But yeah,
I'm liking it.
No, the play-in is definitely a good little addition to the NBA.
Real quick, because I don't know if we're gonna be able, because I think it's coming up real quick before it cut off. Who y'all got in the Super Bowl?
Chiefs.
I want Purdy to win. Just the underdog story,
I got
underdog
Chiefs.
story. I mean, I wouldn't mind if Chiefs won. I mean,
If
not a hater of Patrick Mahomes. I like him, but
nah, that's raps, bro.
Hey, free
NFL
Patrick Mahomes Senior. Straight up.
he be wilding. He be wild.
Free Patrick Mahomes Senior. But I think the Chiefs going. It's just really that unstoppable connection, Mahomes and Kelsey, the best tight end quarterback connection since Gronk and Brady is really unstoppable. I just don't see how they can be stopped. Like Fred Warner is a great linebacker, coverage linebacker, run stopper, great linebacker, maybe the best linebacker in the league. But I just don't see what they're going to do, especially giving Andy Reid a couple weeks to prepare specifically for what you do. It's going to be tough. And, I mean, I don't know what happened. I guess they woke up after they was getting drowned by the Lions or whatever. But you can't let the Chiefs get that big of a lead and expect to come back. Like, that can't happen again. So,
just speak on that Kelsey Mahomes thing. Just imagine for 2 weeks straight studying film on what they're going to do and knowing the route that he's going to run. But them two alone, bro has the complete utter freedom to just run whatever route he wants.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Kelsey's for his own route. Kelsey,
that's just
they
crazy.
They always most of the time on the same page about what he's gonna do too. That's crazy.
Like they're like, oh, I see that dude sitting just right there. You know what? I'm gonna run this route instead. And then you already know your quarterback knows you're gonna do it as soon as he sees the same thing. It's wild. That chemistry is undeniable.
Plus, this is Brock Purdy's second year, right? It'll cut off at
yes.
Yeah.
And he got hurt in the championship game last year, so he didn't really even get to.
And they weren't going to beat the Eagles anyway last year.
Yeah.
The Eagles flopped this year, but yeah, I don't know what happened.
I'll just say Purdy them got to start fast if they want to win. They just got to start fast.
He got the veteran talent around him to do it. Like,
that's what I'm saying. His whole team around him, besides him, is like a staff.
What Cam say? He's the 10th best player on his team.
Yeah, so Cam say. So Cam say.
They gonna have to ball control like the whole game for real. Like they gonna have to keep the ball.
That's another thing.
Huh?
Don't be the Ravens. Don't be too cautious. Like use what worked for y'all at like a smaller rate.
Lamar did not play like MVP Lamar.
No,
he wasn't.
They didn't use none of those key plays.
Yeah,
like you said, he had a point to prove.
And I think arguably the 49ers are more talented than the Ravens, personally.